What's up everyone, Dan here, Crypto Capital Venture, December 12th, 2018. In this video, I want to talk about your plan. What is the plan, right? We're in this space for a reason. I'm running a business, I'm making money, I'm accumulating, I want to make money. I wonder what your plan is. And I tweeted yesterday about along this notion of $1 million Bitcoin. I know that's a kind of a wild number to throw out there, but it's relevant to the discussion that I want to have in this video. And you can see on the screen right now, we're really zoomed out on the chart, right? We're like going to that 2028 halving, right? And we have $1 million Bitcoin on the chart. We have a $60,000 Bitcoin with $1 trillion market cap on the chart. We're going to talk about that. But before we get into it, let's first take a look at this tweet that I tweeted yesterday. I said, I will sell a Bitcoin at $1 million. Retweet if you will too. Now, this video is not to talk about we're going to $1 million. So if you're one of those people out there that does not think we will ever go to $1 million Bitcoin, don't get all mad at me. I'm not saying we're going to $1 million. I read an article or something about $1 million Bitcoin and decided to say, I will sell a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin at $1 million. And the comments kind of inspired this video, which is everybody has a kind of a different take, a different viewpoint. And many of them I kind of disagree with, and that's all good. And we're going to look at some of those in this video, but it really leads to the question of what is the plan here? What is your plan in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency? I'm pretty sure many of you are here just to make some money, be successful. Many of you want to retire, buy a house. I don't know. But let's start here. Let's read through some comments just to provide some context, like a conversation to have. So this first comment I highlighted is John Moore. I got a lot of likes. John Moore, friend of mine, right? Everybody knows Johnny Litecoin. He's the crypto payment specialist. He said, I will spend some at that price, of course, but I personally won't sell into US dollar because by the time Bitcoin hits $1 million per coin, the dollar will most likely be obsolete. I guess it's a fair point. I'm pretty sure many of you out there watching this video might agree with that. I'm not so sure I agree with that. Litecoin Moses says, if it gets to 1 milli, the dollar is definitely toast and your Bitcoin will be super scarce. I would sell all my other cryptos before my Bitcoin. And I replied and I said, well, that's why I said sell a Bitcoin, only one Bitcoin, right? So, I want to hold more Bitcoin, but I would sell one is what I'm saying. So this is kind of the first question. Feel free to comment in the video or below in the comments. Do you think, because this is a theme throughout these comments, do you think that the dollar will be obsolete if and when, right, Bitcoin reaches $1 million? And we'll look at the trajectory of Bitcoin. We'll look at the possibilities of Bitcoin reaching $1 million and what it would take. But do you think that the dollar will be obsolete? I'm very curious of what you think. There's plenty of comments. I like this one. I will sell at 200,000 and buy back in at 85% dip, then sell at $1 million. I like that because that's not a bad play. And this is actually this comment by Asad Harari, who I believe is a viewer on this YouTube channel. I know he's a viewer on this YouTube channel. I remember him in the comments. This really paints a picture of why I'm doing this video. He has his own little plan, right? And he threw out the number he'll sell at 200K and he'll buy back in at a dip. And that really plays into the technicals of Bitcoin and the way that it moves in these cycles. And that's what we're going to look at. Many comments, as you can see. And I highlighted one more. I forget. I don't think. So Andrew says 21 million times 1 million, never going to happen. It's definitely a big number in terms of what the market cap would need to be for this to happen. I think it's somewhere in between $15 trillion and $20 trillion. depending on, you know, what the circulating supply you use for the math is. But that's a pretty high market cap for Bitcoin to get to. So again, I wanted to read that comment because I'm curious. Do you think it's impossible, or do you think it's a possibility? I really want to know. So let's jump into the charts of this video and start talking about some things. So first off, you know that I like to track Bitcoin. You know that I like to watch the cycles of Bitcoin, right? We broke it down, and we've been following this, which is 3 parts to the cycle of Bitcoin. Number 1, the halving. And you can see right here is what I'm talking about right here. Number 1, the halving. Number 2, 1 year later, what Bitcoin has done is an all-time high. And then number 3, sorry about that. Number 3, capitulation, right? We have this pullback, and that's where we are right now, number 3. And you can see, so we have the 2012 halving, right? We have in 2012 right here, a year later, all-time high, and then step 3, capitulation. So we've entered kind of that similar stage right now for Bitcoin, which is right now entered step 3 after all-time high, a year after 2016 halving right here, we've entered the pullback phase. And so that's where we are. So I like to use this because this is the historical data that we have for Bitcoin. This is what it's been doing. So why not expand the charts? Nobody knows. This future of Bitcoin is really unknown, right? And we're still building a long-term trend line. We really don't even have a long-term trend line, a solid one at least. So, but we have what we have, and we can use it. So let's talk about where Bitcoin is in terms of, you know, versus money in the world, all the money in the world, and versus gold. And let's talk about the trajectory of Bitcoin, and then playing into that conversation, the question of what is your plan? I have a plan, right? I am not holding all my Bitcoin and my Litecoin for forever, 100%. You know, I will sell when we reach new levels. That's my plan. And I know that might offend some of you out there. I know some of you are just, I guess you're accumulating, and you plan on to only ever use Bitcoin and Litecoin and other cryptocurrencies, and that's fine. That's your plan. But my plan is to take profit, and that does mean sell into fiat. That is part of my plan. And, you know, hopefully I'm not going to lose subscribers because of that, but I'm just speaking real with you because I think it's important to do that. However, I am long on Bitcoin, right? I am long on Litecoin. I'm building my portfolio. I'm accumulating so that I have more to hold long term and not to sell. That's part of my plan as well. So let's take a quick glance at this chart. This is a really good chart. This is a little bit outdated, but not too much. And you can see Bitcoin right now, first off, if you look at Bitcoin's market cap, you can see we're right around $60 billion. So on this chart that we're looking at, the market cap when they created this chart was 112 billion. So we've almost gone down 50% since then, but still, for context to the grand scheme of things, we get a good idea of like what we're looking at here. So you can see Bitcoin even less than this, 112 billion. We're at around 60 billion, right? Apple no longer at $1 trillion. Amazon, you know, also less than 970 billion. I think they're both a little bit over 800 billion at this point. But it gives you good context into what that $1 trillion market cap looks like. So the reality of a $1 trillion market cap for Bitcoin, I think, is extremely fair. I think we can get there, and I don't even think it needs to take that long. And what that looks like in terms of price, we'll look at in a second. But kind of digging deeper into this, we can look at a larger market cap, that of gold, right? So we talk about Bitcoin as Bitcoin is the digital gold, and then we obviously have gold at around, you know, $8 trillion market cap. So that gives you some context as well. For Bitcoin to get to $1 million Bitcoin, just throwing this out there, it would need to have a higher market cap than gold. I'm not so sure you know, that's going to happen in the near term. So I just want to throw that out there. So here's a tweet. This was Bobby Lee, and this was in August. He's tweeting, and then I want to start here where he says, after next block reward halving in spring of 2020, new Bitcoin output will drop again to just 900 Bitcoin a day. I predict hash power will continue to grow with ever higher amounts of investment in mining electricity costs. If that amount reaches $54 million a day, we'll have Bitcoin at $60,000. Basically, if mining costs reach $54 million per day to create to 900 Bitcoin per day, Bitcoin will be at $60,000. He says, another way to look at it, what will be the daily demand for new Bitcoin coming into circulation? What will be the market liquidity needs in 2020? If the answer is greater than $54 million a day, then Bitcoin prices will be over $60,000 by then. Simple math. That's my logic about prices, and I love that logic. I really do. So let's go to the charts now and talk about that. So we have 2020 is the next halving, and let's play all of this now into the cycles for Bitcoin and the steps involved. So playing along with the cycles of Bitcoin, we have 2020, the first step of the cycle, right, that we've been tracking. 2020 right here. 1 year later from this line, 2020, based on historical evidence of Bitcoin, 1 year later, so let's find the 1 year later mark, which is right around here. Historically, Bitcoin has seen all-time highs after the halving. So here's the halving. I don't know what price we're going to be leading into the halving, but here's the halving. And then for the next year, potentially all-time highs. And so if we look at this $60,000 argument with a $1 trillion market cap, I think it's a fair number to throw out there in terms of this longer term trend of Bitcoin. I think it's a fair and conservative goal for Bitcoin to be at $60,000 by 2021, right? We're still not even in 2019 yet. So we have years to go before we're even at 2021. And the gains for that type of gain, right, from where we are right now of around $3,500 to $60,000 is around 1,600%. If you ask any investor, that's a pretty insane return on your investment. This is one little reason of why I'm accumulating Bitcoin. So now this leads to the question, right? The question of what are you doing, or what is your plan in terms of this potential path of Bitcoin? Because I posted this tweet about $1 million Bitcoin, which, by the way, I put on the chart. $1 million Bitcoin is right here, right? So you can see it doesn't look that unrealistic on a zoomed out chart, but I assure you $1 million Bitcoin is quite high. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm saying it's a stretch, right? I think it's more fair. I think it's more valuable to speak to more realistic short to midterm goals right now, right? Instead of talking about parabolic gains to $1 million Bitcoin. But there it is. There it is, $1 million Bitcoin on the chart. But we can look at this, right? And things play into this. Like we reach a $60,000 Bitcoin. And then by then we've probably already hit our bear market bottom for this time frame that we're living in, right? And I don't know where that's going to be. It could be here, it could be down here, but we'll at least probably have a second touch finally to this bottom trend line. And that's important for us to even define what this bottom trend line is going to look like, because right now this is the kind of the best that we have, right? But if we end up here and we bounce off of that area, that's going to be where our bottom trend line is for that second touch on this chart. But for now, we have it right here, and we'll have to reorganize this when the time comes. It's just, we have to play this out and we have to be patient for this. But playing into the cycle of Bitcoin, we hit $60,000 in 2021, and suppose we come back down, and then we're 50% back down to $30,000 right here, if not lower, right? And we're testing the new bottom trend line wherever that is. This type of volatility in Bitcoin, if this continues, what will you be doing, right? Did you exit here at the new all-time high? If this exact price follows that you see on the screen, did you exit? Do you want to ever exit? Do you want to ever take profits? And it's just a question that I wanted to base a video on today, because I tweeted that, and it seems as if many people are not planning on selling at all, but more plan to leverage the power of a higher price in Bitcoin for purchasing things, and that's fine. But I'm just really curious, and I want to know, based on the viewers of this YouTube channel, how many of you are planning on taking profits if a new bull run ensues? Whether that's before or after the May 2020 halving. When we do enter a bull market, what will you be doing? I really want to know. I can tell you, I've been accumulating at these cheap, valuable prices, because I plan on selling for profits into USD one day in a bull run. I mean, I don't think, I hope that's not too bad of a thing to say, being I'm heavily involved and invested in the crypto market, but that's my plan. I have a plan for fiat holdings and success, and I have a plan for Bitcoin and Litecoin holdings and success. And I think that's kind of a good diversified plan. And that doesn't even begin to speak to, outside of these two currencies, great investment opportunities that are out there in the world. So these are just my thoughts in terms of Bitcoin, in terms of where Bitcoin price might head to. But based on this tweet, please let me know what you think. I will sell one Bitcoin at $1 million. Retweet if you will too. I'm curious. I would love to know. Let me know. I really appreciate all of you coming by. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you in the next video, and God bless.